to 4.
Welcome to the Doug Bailey Radio Show. Here's Doug Bailey.
Well, this Sunday night, Hoyt Sherman Place, finally the night we get the Generation Axe Tour here to Des Moines. Of course, part of the tour, Steve Vai and Nuno Bettencourt, both the guys on the phone right now. Guys, we are happy to talk to you, and we are excited to see the show, to get it here, finally Sunday.
I'm anxious to be there. Actually, we're really excited to be there. You know, it kind of like when you're on tour, you get an itinerary and you get a list of cities you're going to be visiting, and you know, we've all played this venue in this town many times, and it's a great one. So we're very excited.
It is a good one. They've done a lot of renovations over the last few years. It's going to be a great room for you guys to play. One of the first things I want to ask you is, how did this come to be that you guys, I mean, do we dare call this a super group? How did this come to be? How did you guys all get together and decide all of you are going out on tour, heavy hitters in your trade? How are you out on the road?
Well, I'm going to blame Steve Vai on this one. But no, actually, you know, for having the vision to put something so crazy but so fun together. And all I know is from my end, I got a phone call. And when Steve Vai calls you and you first go, really? Yngwie, Malmsteen, Tosin, Abasi, Zakk Wylde, myself, and you kind of tilt your head and you go, is that possible? And Steve says, yes, I got this. And you jump in, you say, look, if you got it, I'm in. Steve, what made you think of this crazy lineup?
Well, I love the sound of harmonized guitars. I love guitar shows. It's a celebration of the guitar. And when I first, you know, being an artist, you can just make up all these crazy things in your head and then choose whichever one you want to manifest. And this was always one that was always, you know, just kept knocking at my back door, you know. And the idea was to create one backing band with this, you know, potpourri of incredible players. So I wrote a list of genre specific. I'd rock and metal and blues and fusion, and I put all my favorite guitar players that I thought would make a great team for this, you know, under each genre. And because I'm so much, you know, I'm really a rock guitarist at heart. You know, I do quirky things and compositional things, but rock music is really at the heart. So that was the genre I focused on first. And I had, you know, these guys were at the top of the list. And when I reached out, I think at first they thought I was kind of crazy. You know, how is that going to work? You know, but there was faith there, and we did it, and it worked so great. And we did it again, and it worked great. We recorded it. So now we have a record coming out in February and a pledge campaign to help us promote it.
And I assume we're going to hear some of that music off the album. You're going to get some of it out there for all the listeners here in Des Moines on Sunday night. Is that correct?
You guys may have received Frankenstein. We do the Edgar Winter Frankenstein, and it is a must-hear for a guitar player. And you may have received it. If not, well, I'll make sure you get it. But
yeah, we're definitely doing it on Sunday as well, for sure.
Yeah, and we'll be performing it on Sunday.
Steve, you had mentioned kind of you're a rock guy at heart. And I mean, I remember the first time I ever saw you was on Whitesnake's Slip of the Tongue tour live. But I remember back to after good old David Lee Roth was booted out of Van Halen and he had the solo tour. I loved what you did on guitar on Yankee Rose. Was that just something that something that was planned for the song, or something you thought up just on a whim, or how did that come to be? That's one question I said if I always talk to you, I wanted to ask you.
Well, that's what I mean when I say I think my quirkiness is my strength, because, you know, I'm kind of an oddball in the sense that I like cheeky things. I suspect you're referring to the talking guitar?
I am referring to that, yes. I love that part of it.
That's so simple, really. It's not like anything.
I mean, he says it's simple, but can you imagine when we all get together for rehearsal? That's how he talks to us. He won't even say words. He's like, makes these wah-wah, and we're like, what? What are you trying to say? And it's really difficult for us to communicate. But
well, Nuno, how do you respond to it? I mean, do you respond in the same way, or how do you respond to him when he talks like that?
I don't know. I definitely have a different response than Zakk Wylde does. Let's just say that.
Well, we got Chad Taylor in the house, too. Chad's taking all this in. I know that, Chad, you said you're ready and you're anxious and excited to see this show Sunday night as well.
I am, you know, and
I was listening to you guys talk, and I was just wondering, of course you're all friends out on the road, but there's got to be a little bit of competition on that stage when you put that many fantastic guitar players on one stage. Do you guys find yourselves competing and trying to one up each other and make each other maybe like come off the stage and go, I can't believe you did that, or this person did this? Is there some of that going on?
This is obviously Nuno speaking. I really believed what you just said was going to happen. I thought, oh my God, when we get up there and we have to all play together, it's going to be a bloodbath. Everybody's just going to go for blood, and it was completely not that. It was so thrilling because we realized, I think, at some point everybody was so different that you just have to go up and go, Yngwie takes we trade souls, and Yngwie does something, you'd be crazy to think, yeah, I'm going to one-up that. Or Zakk takes it, and I'm going to one-up that. You don't. You just stay in your lane, and what the beauty is when somebody takes a solo and you do these kind of, cutting heads, so to speak, you just know that you can only do the best you. And everybody looks at it that way. You got great guitar players that you admire that like Steve, and he's looking at you going like, man, I can't do that like that. And we're doing it for each other. And it may sound boring. It's maybe not what anybody wants to hear, but what that does is it does elevate and one-ups everybody to be the best that they can be, because you got to represent. You can't just watch somebody take a solo like a Zakk Wylde and go like, yeah, I'm just going to sit it out on this one and punch it in. You can't. And I think that's what makes Generation X special. It's not going for blood for the wrong reasons. It's a healthy kind of competitive sort of atmosphere on stage, and it's fun. And I think I wasn't even sure myself it was going to be that, but I'm excited to tell you that it's better than the other version of it. So you got to come and check it out.
I mean, all of us are very accomplished in our craft and unique to each other in a sense, but also very competent. And Nuno nailed it. When I'm standing next to these guys, and it's my turn to take a little solo break, I just feel like I have to be the best that I can be. They really kick your ass, and it's beautiful.
How long is the show? When people come out Sunday night, how long will that?
7 hours.
The last show is still going on.
You guys are back here doing this. They're still on stage.
It's a good 3 hours because you got to imagine, we were thinking, man, is the show kind of long? And we thought, well, no, it's an evening with, and usually when you go to a gig, for instance, if you go to any club or any theater or even an arena, there's always 2 or 3 artists, and it always adds up the same. So we're the 3 artists. We're up there, and you go. It's a journey that you go through. So we're the opener, the middle, and the headliner all in one.
That's awesome.
Who's the lead guitarist of all you guys? I mean, all you guys can play leads in your respective bands, solo stuff like that. Is there one person that could say, I'm the lead guitarist? Or is everybody saying, you know what, we're all co-lead guitarists?
I'm sorry, I just burst out laughing, but that's...
Nuno, do you know like when you're growing up as a guitar player and you're talking to somebody and they say, do you play lead or rhythm?
That's a good question. I'd love to have all 5 of us and somebody ask us that and have us fight it out like, hey, who's the lead guitar player of the band?
We're all kind of lead guitar players. Yeah.
Well, you guys are here, so you guys can speak for the other 3, right?
Yeah. Look, you know what? Whoever's in the room right now, me and Steve are the lead guitar players.
There's not very many times where there's a rhythm guitar player.
One question I had for you, and we'll start with Nuno. Who were your guitar heroes growing up?
Look, that's always going to be a difficult question because, you either got to go like top 20, top 10, but really if you're going to go, we have this kind of roundtable discussion that we've been doing for years once in a while where sometimes guitar players in LA get together or, with myself and Morello and other people, and the question is always who's the Mount Rushmore. So we got to dwindle it down to 4.
Yep.
There's 4, right, on Mount Rushmore, is my history correct? But we always say, who's your Mount Rushmore? And we'll go, who's your Mount Rushmore vocalist? Or we'll say it's got to be metal, or it's got to be rock, or it's got to be pop. And for rock, it's for guitar players, it's always very, very difficult. But we always say it can't just be the guys that influence you. It's got to be the guys who changed the game. And for me, it's always been Hendrix, Page, Brian May, and Eddie Van Halen, like as the top 4 for me. Now, of course, in that top 10, in the top 5, for me, you got your Steve Vai. You got guys that, I know he's on the phone with me, and it's very awkward to say that, but, that's when you go into the top 10 and you have those guys. I don't know, Steve, what's your Mount Rushmore? What's your fourth?
Like you say, it's a difficult question, and it could change. But when I look back at my youth, it's one thing. But if I was to kind of take a snapshot, I would say for me it's Jimmy Page, Brian May, Alan Holdsworth, and
Nuno Bettencourt, right?
And Nuno Bettencourt.
Yeah, of course. I know it's hard to pronounce my name, but yeah, that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, well, Nuno came later, and there was that whole slew of '80s guitar players that started to really play their instrument different. But yeah, if I was to add another one to that, Hendrix, of course. So Hendrix, Page, whatever I mentioned. Brian May, and
and having said that, every guitar player that I've been around, it's always the same first three. It's always Page, and then they mention Brian May, and then everybody kind of argues about the fourth position.
Yeah, it's hard, because you've got so many great players in there that,
Some people say Tony Iommi in there for the fourth one, as very influential. Beck.
You both mentioned Brian May from Queen, so I have to ask, did either of you see the movie, Bohemian Rhapsody?
We snuck into the movies, me and Steve, a couple of days ago in Denver, and we went to see it for the first time. We were super excited. We were like two kids in there with popcorn waiting, and we actually made a little bit of a silly. We pulled out our phones in the screen, which we're not supposed to, and we shot a little bit of the screen and then turned the screen back to us, and we sent it to one of the most beautiful people on this planet, which is Brian May, we've gotten the pleasure to be friends with through the decades, and we sent him a video saying that we're about to watch your movie, man, and he responded super excited. And, it was great.
We were watching his movie and taking a movie and a little video snap and sending it to him. And you know what was great? Like Nuno says, it's so nice to be able to meet your heroes, and especially when they're such incredibly kind people like Brian. And one time, years ago, when 5.1 was popular, Brian, he was in L.A., and he called Nuno and I to come down and listen to him do a 5.1 mix of Bohemian Rhapsody. Remember that, Nuno?
Oh, my God, you forgot about that. I haven't forgotten, but I forgot that it was you and I at Capitol Records. Studios. That's right, and we sat in the middle, and he's like, he was like a kid grabbing his friends and going, you've got to sit in the middle of this. You can hear not only the piano in Bohemian Rhapsody, but you can hear the pedal, the sustain pedal. You can hear it come up and down now in 5.1. Wow, I forgot about that. That was an incredible night.
Yeah, and you can hear, the way he was panning the mixes so that you've got all those voices in this surround sound, but it was like real 5.1, I think. Maybe it was even 6-channel. I can't remember.
Yeah. But what's the irony of that, of you and I actually sending him a video later of the same song? I mean,
I know, right?
I forgot about that. Sorry, guys, we're getting lost over here.
Hey, we're just happy to sit here and listen. Both for you, Steve and Nuno, you guys, and even everybody on the tour, everybody that's going to be on stage on Sunday night at Hoyt Sherman Place for the Generation Axe Tour, all you guys have got a great catalog, a lot of great songs. Are you guys going to kind of interchange each other's songs, and maybe Steve plays something of Nuno's and Zakk plays something of Steve's and Yngwie plays something of Tosin's? Are you guys going to be doing that on stage that night too?
Oh, yeah. That's I think Steve's brainchild about all this. It wasn't just, hey, you guys want to get together and we'll all do a set. The most exciting, without a doubt, part of the show is when we open the show together, all five of us, which is just brings down the house, like to see these five guys, and we do this amazing all instrumental version of this Hocus Pocus track. If you guys remember that by the band Focus, it used to be called Hocus Pocus. By Focus.
Yeah.
It's mostly vocal driven. There's guitars there, but Steve did this incredible arrangement at the top of it. And then we kind of, as Steve says, we pass the baton. It's the relay race. Tosin goes. I come out and meet up with Tosin, do one of his songs. He leaves. I do mine. Zakk comes in, hands it off. Then we hand it off to Steve. The three of us do something together. So those are the exciting moments, because everybody has seen us do our stuff individually through the years, but what you have not seen that you must see is what we do together. That's what's special. If
we both get one more question before these guys get off the line, this one's for Nuno, because I asked this of everybody. I'm a huge fan of charts. I'm a chart geek. Since I started in radio in the 90s.
Fan of what?
He's just a geek.
I'm a chart geek. I love the Billboard Hot 100. And so I always got to ask, Where were you and who told you when Extreme hit number one with More Than Words? Do you know where you were and who told you that it was number one?
I'll tell you what. We fought. I fought for that song to be a single, and the label didn't think it was a hit. Our management didn't think it was a hit. I think I had to break into the record company. I had to quit the band to get them to release that as a single. And then once that happened, we left to go to Europe. You got to remember, this is back in the 1900s, before the internet was alive and well, and we didn't know what was happening. But we knew that it was released in the U.S. We're touring Europe. Brothers and sisters calling you saying, "Hey guys, I'm seeing you like on MTV and hearing you on the radio." And then I'll never forget. I think I was in Germany. It was like 3 a.m, and my manager called me and said, "Listen, Billboard magazine just called, and they said as of tomorrow morning, you will be the number one song in the States." And I was in my underwear, got out, ran down the hall, and banged on the rest of my bandmates' doors and told them the news. It was pretty incredible to be a kid growing up and to actually believe that one day you might have a hit single, and it's going to go to number one in the States, and worldwide as well. So, yeah, that's a great question. That's where I was in Germany. I think it might have been Hamburg or something.
All right. For my final question, Steve, I'm going to ask you this first, since I have both you and Nuno on the phone. Steve, think of all the stuff Nuno's done. What is one of your favorite songs that he has played on?
Wow. Well, speaking from a guitar geek perspective, he does this piece, Flight of the Wounded Bumblebee.
Yes.
And it's clever because of the technique that he uses and the way he uses the effect, but it's musical. It sounds like a beautiful piece of music. It doesn't. I mean, the technique that's required is tense. There's select few, if anybody, that I know that can play like that. But what happens is it's this beautiful balance of technique, use of technology, but that's all in the peripheral to the way the song sounds as a piece of music, the way it moves melodically and harmonically. It's a masterpiece, really.
Nuno, the same question for you. What's one of your favorite songs that Steve Vai has played on?
Well, first I got to wipe my tears while Steve Vai talking about one of my pieces. But, look, Steve, there is so much, and I'm not even saying it because on the phone there's so much, but you always have to go, and I don't know that he thinks it's his best. I don't know. I'm not even sure it's his best because he's got so much stuff. And the whole album, Passion and Warfare, you could take that whole album. But for me, being a kid in my bedroom, and when I first put on the Attitude song, I was just like, what is this? It's when somebody rocks your world, and you're sitting there. I remember trying to figure it out, and the time changes, but it was more, something is special when the personality of the guitar player comes through in a piece, and it's all him, and that song, the Attitude song, and the dynamics through the whole thing. There's rhythm, there's time changes, there's this, it's like, I used to call him the rubber band man. He was just like, you could stretch him everywhere. It was like Play-Doh. Like, we used to go, how can he do this? Who would do this? So that always sticks in my head when somebody says Steve Vai, and I think of the first time I was divergenized, or my ears were. Let's not
That's another question. Nuno, when were you divergent? No, we'll leave that for another day. Guys, thank you for your time. I know we've taken a good chunk of it today. We're excited. The show is Sunday night, Generation Acts at Hoyt Sherman Place. Steve Vai, Nuno Bettencourt, Zakk Wylde, Yngwie, Malmsteen, and Tosin Abasi on stage that night for a great show.
And I do have to ask Nuno, since I am a chart geek, one thing I ask when artists come into town, I get to bring my Billboard Hot 100 book and have them sign More Than Words. Can we make that happen?
Listen, for the pledge campaign, it's only like $10,000, so no problem. No, of course I will. Absolutely. I'll be honored to.
Well, thank you guys so much. It's been a real honor for Doug and I to talk to you both.
We're excited. Have a great trip here to Des Moines. Not sure where you're at right now, but we'll see you here in a few days, and we're ready to rock on stage with you, or at least watch you rock on stage.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Doug Bailey Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platform.